here. I'm with a special guest, Greg Suttie. What's up, man? How are
Hi,
you?
hi, Jeremy. It's a pleasure to talk to you, buddy. You
Dude,
know how much I. Go ahead.
I've been waiting to do this interview for a long time. This is really exciting for me.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, Jeremy. I mean, what you've done as a contributor to MASL Off the Wall, and how you are a love of this game. I
Yeah.
can't be happier to spend time talking to you, buddy.
Well, listen, I want to ask you a question because a lot of people, number one, they don't know about the indoor game, and number two, they don't know about MASL off the wall. So, can you tell me a little bit how that got started and talk a little bit about your love for the indoor game?
Well, that's kind of two questions. So as far as MASL Off the Wall is concerned, back I'm thinking it was like 2010, maybe 2011. Um, there was a man by the name of Harpino. Yeah, so everybody's going to hate me right now. Morgan Harpino, there we go. And Morgan started a Facebook fan page for the PASL, and it was called the PASL Fan Group. And he started that, and it,
Sure.
it was primarily out of San Diego, but it was a league wide Facebook group page for just anybody that wanted to join in.
Hmm.
One day I was a contributor, and one day I woke up and I found that Morgan had made me an administrator on this page along with Sydney Newsonoff, and
Wow, those are some big names.
so then a little while this went on for a while, and then the merger between the PASL and the MISL took place,
Right,
and so um, uh, Sydney and I decided to put a sort of a vote out there as to what would be the next best name for
right,
this page, and we all agreed that MASL Off the Wall would be the way we would go. And so
right,
today, after many years, today, Sydney and I are still the administrators on the page, and we have almost 8,300 members.
yeah,
Um, and so as far as Facebook, as far as the Facebook platform is concerned, there's nobody close. I mean,
right.
there's nobody close. We have
I don't even think there's any other groups concerned with the MASL. I could be wrong, but
no, there are groups.
are there? Okay,
There are groups. I'm not going to name any of them. Many of them have around 1,000, maybe 1,200 members.
sure,
Um, so there are others that are out there. The thing is, I think what the difference is in most cases is that most of them focus on their home team.
right,
And
right.
while I am a Sockers fan, and nobody, I mean, I'll throw that out there. Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but bigger than that, Jeremy, is I am a fan of the indoor game, and
Yeah,
so I've had the privilege to be on this as an administrator for MASL
right.
Off the Wall, and be able to promote the entire league, not
Sure,
just the
sure.
league, but every individual team. A lot of it's very simple. I mean, a lot of it, to be fair, is pretty simple. I mean, I will go through the different posts that the teams put out there, and then I will
Yeah,
share them on MASL Off the Wall. So it's kind of a go-to platform for anybody that cares to know about the
sure.
MASL.
And I mean, I can relate to you too because obviously we all know that I'm a Wave fan, but
Yep.
second favorite team is the Sockers, as a matter of
Ah,
fact.
ah,
And
ah.
I'm lucky enough to do predictions on MASL off the wall. So,
Yes.
and I've been accused of being a homer, but I've voted against the wave many times. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very privileged to be able to do that on MASL off the wall. And like I've told you, not many people know this. I've only told you, but now people will know. I'm going to do it a little bit differently this year, and I'm going to do video predictions instead of just text predictions. So
Wow.
that'll be a little
That's
interesting.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I gotta hand it to you, Jeremy, because to be fair with you, buddy, I don't have the nads to step up like you have and make predictions because I mean
Yeah.
there's so much that is so unknown, and
Well,
you go out there and you throw yourself out there, buddy.
well, and I think one of the things too is, like you said, it's unpredictable. But
Yeah,
if you study the game the way that I do and the
yep,
way that you do, it becomes
yep,
pretty easy. Like
yeah. Well, I guess so.
I think I've done pretty well on my predictions to
No,
be.
I think you have too. So I don't remember, but did you predict that? Did you predict that Chihuahua is going to win the championship?
I did, yes.
Nice.
But once San Diego was out, I was like, okay, it's got to be Chihuahua.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even in their first year, they did really well. So
Yeah, they
it
did.
it, it wasn't really a surprise to me that they won. Like, but now that we're talking about that, let me ask you this question: were you surprised that San Diego didn't get into the final?
Yeah. So they had to get through Chihuahua, right? They had to get past
Yeah,
Chihuahua.
well,
And Chihuahua was that team that was the only team. They were the only team. As far as I was sitting there watching the games as the season progressed, Chihuahua was the
sure.
only team that was going to challenge. I mean, as far as San Diego was
Yeah,
concerned, Chihuahua was the only team that was going to challenge. And they did so with expertise. And oh, by the way, it's pretty interesting that not only did they win the MASL, but they also won M2. I mean,
yeah.
they, that franchise really rocked the world last year, didn't
Well,
they?
yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, they're the one team that have been in the news year after year, right? Because you have the year with Landon Donovan, and then you have literally two consecutive championships. So yeah, you're right. They've been dominant when it comes to the indoor world.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, how do you think they stay dominant year after year? Like, what do you think the recipe for success is?
Are you talking about the Sockers or the Chihuahua Savage?
No, the Sockers.
Okay, so all right, so that's an interesting question. So Um, I don't know. People might, I think a lot of people might argue with your term dominant. I don't think the Sockers have necessarily been dominant, but they've been present and they've been contenders for all the way through. I mean, they've made it to the semifinals. They've made it to the quarterfinals. They're always the San Diego Sockers are always in the playoffs, and
Yeah,
it's a scouting. It's got to come down to a scouting thing, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah, that's true.
you've got to be able to scout these players to be able to join into what the coach has as the program and be able to mix into with that program and be able to produce. And
Yeah,
then with that scouting, you have to deal with players that are getting older, bringing in new players that are powerful. I mean,
right.
this season, in the off season, Gabriel Costa and Drew Ruggles have been brought into the San Diego Sockers.
I was just going to ask you, how do you feel about that acquisition? Because I mean, Drew Ruggles, he's a force. I mean, I know Drew from Milwaukee, obviously, because he played for
Absolutely,
us.
yeah,
And he's a force. He was a force in Florida, and I think he's just going to add that element to the Sockers that are going to make them even more dominant. It's kind of like in the East where Chad Vandergriff goes to Kansas City.
right.
I think it's going to be quite similar situations where they add an element to their respective teams that is just going to make them that more dominant. Well, I don't want to say dominant, but they're going to be,
Well, you don't know, right? I mean, you don't know.
yeah,
Dominant is right. So as far as Drew Ruggles is concerned, it's really interesting, right? Because you have Cesar Cerda, you have Cardenas, you have Pino,
Yeah,
that are already a solid back line for the San Diego
right.
Sockers. So you bring, are you kidding? So you bring in Drew Ruggles, and it's like, besides that, you've got Boris Pardo in the net. I mean,
Right.
who's gonna score? Is anybody ever gonna score?
Well, and I mean that's the thing is the way that I look at it is you just made Boris Pardo's job a hell of a lot easier because
No kidding.
that back line is going to be insane.
Well, and Xavier Williams. I mean, he's a great backup goalie. I mean, he's been showing himself also very good. But yeah, so and then Gabriel Costa coming in. Some of the forward line for the Sockers are getting a little bit older, and bringing in a young guy like Gabriel Costa is going to be outstanding for the team.
It
And
reminded
look what they both did. Go ahead.
it reminded me a lot of when you guys brought in Ubi for a year. You know, you bring him in for a year and he just adds that element to you guys that you just didn't
Yeah,
have before. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I do think the
Yeah.
Sockers are going to be scary this year. That's the best word I
Well,
can
it's going to
use.
be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see, Jeremy, because obviously, no, nobody's sitting on their laurels. I mean, look at Tacoma. Tacoma has expanded themselves. They brought in some good players. The Empire is still good in the West. They're going to be strong.
Yeah,
And then of course Monterey and Chihuahua, they're not going to be able to mess with. So, not to put anything out on the East, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot going on there too. I mean, Kansas City is bumped up, Utica's bumped up. It's a drag. I mean, it really is a drag that we're going to lose to Florida Tropics. Those players are being dispersed throughout the league, and it's tough to lose a team of that
I mean,
quality.
I'll be honest with you, that surprised me a little bit just because they were a dominant. Well, again, I use that word, but they
Yeah.
were a good team
No, no, no.
in the
Yep.
East. I mean, they were in the final, what, 2 years ago? You know,
Correct.
yeah, they were in the final, and then you lose a team like that. It just goes to show you that the indoor game is one that is unpredictable, right? Because
Yeah, it is.
when they first announced the rebranding of Ontario, my first thought was, oh no, they're leaving. And I didn't want to see that happen because
Right.
you got guys like that are really good on that team. Obviously, like you got Tayu, he's the king.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Right.
you don't want to lose guys like that. So
I mean,
it's
right. I mean, Izzy, Israel Cisse, Robert Palmer, Stinson, the Tayu brothers.
right.
Yeah. So I mean, that's been a strong roster. I think as far as the health of the league is concerned, I think what is really a powerful statement to be made is that both, as it seems right now, both of the teams in Dallas, although there have been some questions about attendance and all that kind of thing, but the Mesquite Outlaws and the Dallas Sidekicks look strong to come back. They look strong to come back. I mean, I'm seeing. By the way, I think it's pretty fun that the new general manager in Mesquite is the nephew of Chacha Namdar, who is a old school legend here in San Diego. So
Well,
it's
and you got to remember too, we have Ronaldinho coming into the league too, so that's going to be interesting. I don't know if
so there's
I don't know if that ever panned out because I haven't heard anything more about that, but obviously it was in the MASL news that Ronaldinho was going to be partnering with the league. But
yes.
but again, I don't
It
know
would
if that panned out.
it would be very powerful. I mean, the last thing I heard is that the Ronaldinho experiment or team or whatever you want to call that may pan out in Las Vegas. I'm not getting any inside info either. And if I
Yeah,
did have any, if I did have any inside info, I
yeah.
would tell you. I would tell you, Jeremy, I have inside information that I can't share with you. But no, that's not the
Well,
case.
yeah,
I
no, and I
I
mean,
simply I simply don't have any information on it.
right, and like you said, it would be one of those things that would be great for the league.
Oh, absolutely.
It was kind of like the Landon thing where he comes to play for the Sockers and attendance skyrockets because it's Landon
Right.
Donovan. And, the thing that I was most impressed with Landon was the fact that he did so well at the indoor game. Like, I expected him to be one of those things where it was like, wow, he's not very good, but he was good. I give him all the
Well,
credit in the world.
I do too, and that was an exciting time because, as you know, at the same time that was going on, uh, uh, they had. I'm dropping. I'm losing a name.
Kevin Ellis.
Jerome. No, up in Ontario, Jones,
Oh, oh, geez.
the
Um,
former
no,
U.S.
yeah,
national team.
yeah, no, I know
I,
who
I,
you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. But he was, and part of the reason I'm losing the name is because he had problems mid-season and didn't come back during. There were some issues during
Right.
mid-season.
Yeah,
But when,
yeah,
but when,
and
but when he hit the field, I remember there was Jermaine Jones. There it is.
thank
Um,
you. That was
and
gonna bother
yeah,
me.
yeah, Jermaine Jones, and he was a powerhouse. I went up to Ontario and I interviewed him when he was first announced during their press conference, and I was also at the press conference for Landon Donovan, and that was a fun time because these were two powerhouse guys that the
Yeah,
league could market, and they did, and it worked.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know the back office issues up in Ontario to know
right.
why the things fell through with Jermaine, but
Do
but
you?
that was an
Sorry, go ahead. I'm
no,
sorry.
no. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, do you see that happening more where these former outdoor stars come and try their shot at indoor, or did
Interesting.
the whole Landon Donovan thing happen because, he has ties to San Diego, obviously.
Sure,
That
sure.
he we know that he's the manager of the San Diego Loyal now. So
Right,
obviously
right.
he has ties to San
Yeah, yeah.
Diego. But that's my question. Do you see other former outdoor stars coming to play in the indoor league, or was that just a couple of times and now we're done?
No, I don't know. I don't see that as being sort of a pipeline. I don't think there's going to be kind of a pipeline of players,
Yeah,
that are going to come into the MASL. But I do expect that there will be players, that will decide, hey, this is a place where I can, get another couple of years, and as a leader, as a top level player, and jump onto some of these franchises. I think, unfortunately, I mean, the conversation kind of turns to money. It,
it always
it, it goes
does. It
to,
always does. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
and the bottom line is that the MASL doesn't just have money to throw around. That's
that's
the
right.
bottom line, and that's why you see scenarios like you see in Florida, right? I mean, but I will say this.
Yeah,
I will say this. If there's anybody that can help grow the league, it's Keith Tozer. I mean, that guy is the perfect guy for the commissioner's job because, trust me, well, let's see, I'm 36 years old and I've known Keith since I was 5. So
wow.
I have a lot of experience with Keith. I know
Yeah, I
his
love Keith.
I know his love for the game, and I think he's going to do everything in his power with the rest of the management group over at the MASL to grow this sport, and I think that's what we all want. Is we want this sport to get to the point where it was back in the '80s,
Yeah,
where we were selling out arenas and
right.
it was a really popular thing to watch.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I might piss some people off, but let me first say that yeah, no, Keith Tozer, I consider him a brother. He's a great man for the leadership position for the league.
Yeah,
He's a great front man. He's a great administrator. He's a great coach. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about the guy.
yeah.
Um, from an administrative point of view, from a business point of view, okay, nothing to say about Keith, but from a business point of view, I would like to see a commissioner that doesn't have extracurricular activities. I would like to see a commissioner that is only the commissioner of the MASL.
Right.
And then okay, and that again, that's not an angle towards Keith. It's because he's not the first guy to be in that position.
No.
There's a lot of this has been that thing, and I would like to see him. Let's just say it out loud. I would like to see Keith Tozer be completely ingrained into the MASL, only the MASL, and all MASL. Now I
Well,
know that's.
here's the
Go
thing.
ahead.
Here's the thing. Knowing Keith the way that I do, I'm not saying it's never going to happen. I'm just saying I don't think he's going to be the guy that says, you know what, I'm going to stop coaching futsal. I'm going to stop going around the world doing what I do to focus on this. I just don't think that's going to happen. Could I be
No, I
wrong?
agree.
Could I be wrong? Absolutely.
No,
Now,
I
to,
agree.
now, to your point, I do agree that there needs to be at least at least a group of people, not just Keith, but a
No,
group
right.
but a group of people that say, you know what, I have nothing else to do. I'm going to focus on growing this league. Because
Right.
let's be honest, I don't think the MASL should be on Twitch. And I'll tell you why. I'm
Okay.
saying that because not everybody knows about Twitch. If you ask a
Okay.
lot of people, because people don't realize Twitch is used for video games primarily. It's a video game service.
Correct. Correct.
That's what people know Twitch for. Like I watch Twitch on a regular basis because I like watching people play video games. But
Yes.
and I'm not gonna say that nobody knows about it because obviously they do. But you know, I don't want to say older people because I don't want to be insulting, but people that are not big on technology have no idea what Twitch is.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. So Jeremy, I'm 63 years old, and guess what? I get Twitch.
no, I'm not. That's why I said,
But let
like,
me. No, I know. I'm playing with you, buddy. I'm playing with you.
yeah,
So my only thing about the Twitch format, this is the first time, and I understand and I agree with everything that you just said, but to add a little extra caveat, the the Twitch format is the only format that I have seen, and I want you to understand something. I work my butt off to try to find new fans, and everybody I
yeah.
talk to, if I do study on soccer, if I'm on MASL off the wall, whatever it is, the only thing that I'm doing is talking to people that are already fans.
Yeah.
So if I want to try to find people that are not fans to introduce them to this sport, Twitch has done that.
Oh,
I mean,
I will never argue that because I'll be honest with you. I can't tell you how many times I'm watching a game and somebody comes in and says, "Wow, this is really cool. What is
right,
this?" And
right. What is this? I know. Isn't that cool?
yeah,
It is
yeah, no,
cool.
it is, and that's the great thing about this is that it's one of those things where people can come in and say, hey, I've never seen this before.
Right.
What is this? I like this. And I give Twitch all the credit in the world for that because I think there's something to be said for something that can bring somebody that has never seen a sport and bring them
Right.
into that. Like, don't get me wrong, YouTube was great because, you could watch the games the next day, whereas Twitch gives you the ability to watch them live. So I do think Twitch is a great platform, but I would love to see a scenario like there was back in 2010 when Milwaukee played Cleveland and it was on ESPN. That's what
Yes.
that's what I would love to see. I would love to see,
Yeah.
and I think we're getting closer to something like that because obviously now you can listen to games on Sirius XM.
Right.
We've
Right.
we've gotten into that platform, and I think the only thing left to do now is get on TV again.
Right. So, as far as that goes, I think, I mean, and again, I'm only speculating because I'm sitting in the rafters just like everybody else. Okay.
Right,
But
right.
right. So I'm only speculating. But from the standpoint of a place like ESPN or Fox Sports or any of those guys, um, part of the problem might be who what how many people are watching this game. I mean, do we get, if I broadcast this game, if I'm ESPN and I broadcast this game, am I going to get, who's going to watch? Okay, who's going to care? The
I'm
other
so, I'm
thing
I'm
that is,
sorry. I have to play devil's advocate with that though because the other day I'm flipping through the channels and I what do I see? Extreme pillow fighting, and I'm like,
I
so
get it.
so
No, I get it. So
so
they're looking for filler.
yeah, exactly. Why not
Yeah,
put
they're looking.
something? Why not put something
Right.
like the MASL into something that is filler?
So
Because I'll be honest, I would rather watch that than watch professional pillow fighting or cornhole or something like that. It's just
right, right. So we don't know what we don't know. What you and I don't know is these guys that are doing the pillow fighting or the cornhole, are they paying for broadcast time? Are they
I
paying for it,
yeah,
or is it
yeah.
advertising money?
I mean,
Okay,
I
because if
look,
they're paying for it,
I looked
go
into
ahead.
it. I'll be honest with you. I looked into it.
Okay,
And if
okay.
if you win a fight, you get $5,000. You're
Wow.
you're telling me we can't put the MASL on TV? Come on, like come on.
I know, I know. It's really sad. It's really sad. I mean, one of the statements that I make on a somewhat regular basis is that the the game of American indoor soccer is a 45-year-old
Right.
adolescent. Okay, here we're 45 years old, but we don't have, as a game, as a sport. I'm not talking about the league. I'm talking about the sport. As a sport, we're 45 years old, and we're still being received as though we're toppers,
Well,
But
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 I
hey,
mean,
let's look at the let's look at the high side of this. Let's look at the high side of this. Some of the Eastern teams, or Eastern Conference teams, Kansas City,
yeah, they're on
Utica.
TV.
Uh,
They're on TV.
well, but I don't know if they're on TV or not. But they're filling up their stadiums. I mean, they're bringing in fans. So if they were to be on a network television or a cable sports broadcast, it would look good. It
Well,
would look
and
it would look good.
and here's the way I look at it, and I'll put it to you this way: if we can get the MASL on TV, right, then it would only help the teams like Florida who were in financial trouble. I mean, obviously, there's probably more to it than what I'm saying, but I'm assuming part of it has to do with money. So if you can get the MASL on TV, it's going to bring in more revenue for these teams, which helps them stay in business.
Right. I'm wondering, Jeremy, I'm wondering, and this is just, again, pure speculation,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering if when the San Diego Sockers are able to launch next season, not this coming season, but the following season, in a brand new venue with good dates and new marketing,
Yeah.
if that venue, if that launch might be something that could help the league go forward into getting attention from the Fox Sports and ESPNs of the world.
Well, and it's interesting too because, one of the things that I've said since I moved to Arizona is I miss indoor soccer. Like, that's
Yeah,
something that I really miss. Like, I miss going to Wave games. I miss going into the locker room. Because if I was still
yeah,
in Milwaukee, I would get in the locker room before the press does. That's just the way it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
But, but
yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where I would love to see indoor come to Phoenix. That's just something I would love to see because
Well, it is.
we
Go
keep
ahead, go ahead.
we keep talking about bringing MLS to Phoenix, which, don't get me wrong, I would get tickets for that too. But
Sure.
why not start with something like indoor? And we've tried it before. We've tried it before. It didn't work out. We had the Blizzard. We had, gosh, I can't even remember the other name. There was one other
Right.
team that we had, and it didn't work. So I would love to see that come to Arizona because if they do, I would support it. Obviously, not when they play San Diego or Milwaukee, but other than that, I would root for them. But
Well, Jeremy, and I'm going to repeat something that a lot of people have heard me say. My second favorite team is whoever takes the field against the San Diego Sockers.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the, and my whole point behind that, just to explain if anybody doesn't understand, my whole point of that is my favorite team is the San Diego Sockers, and they need competition. To be a team, viable in order to exist, there needs to be a league teams that comes to town and that plays the game. Right. So anytime any team takes the field against the San Diego Sockers, that's my second favorite team. I
Well,
mean, I
and
want them to be.
I'll be honest with you. The one thing that I love about you is you're not the typical homer, right? You're not the typical guy who's like, yeah, the Sockers are going to beat everybody. And I love that about you because
Yeah, no.
honestly, that's how I am with the Wave. Like,
Right.
do I love the Wave? Yes, absolutely.
Right. Right.
Did I root for San Diego when the Wave wasn't in the league? Yeah, of course I did because that's my second favorite team.
Right.
But
Right.
and that's why it's so hard for me when they play each other because I love
I
both
know.
of the teams. Like for instance, when we lost to them in the first round of the playoffs last year,
Right.
it was hard for
Right.
me because I was like, damn, I didn't want Milwaukee to lose, but I love San Diego, so this works. Like
Right.
I can't
I
really
know.
lose. I can't really lose in that situation. Listen, man, I'm not going to take much more of your time. I'm going to apologize to people in advance for the poor video quality. I'm sorry. Um, I did my best, but I will say this. For anybody that loves the game of indoor soccer, please follow this guy. Greg is amazing. If you're not already a member of MASL Off the Wall, please join us. We talk about a lot of great indoor things. And Greg, I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
I love you too, brother. Thanks so much. You and I could talk for hours.
Oh, we usually do, to be honest. But hey,
I,
it was great talking to you, my friend, and I will see you on
all
the
right.
page,
All right.
buddy. Take care.
All right, buddy. Hey, post this all around, Jeremy. Put this up on MASL Off the Wall. Post it all around. Let everybody see it.
No, I will. And again, I apologize for the video quality. I don't
No,
know
it
what
looks good.
happened.
It looks good. It looks good.
All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Bye.
God bless you, Jeremy. Thanks for everything you do.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.